I have a pattern on YouTube. Get motivated, make a video, be pretty proud of it, and then disappear for a year. But where do I go? I mean, it is a year, you can't just do nothing for a year, right? Right? Well, for me, I actually do stuff off the air, and what I've been doing, I honestly should have put on this channel a while ago. I make board games. All this. Now, not all of these board games are original to me, but I've been spending the majority of my spare time custom designing and playing these games with my friends. And finally, I'll be sharing these with the world, now that the Buckshot turned out pretty well. I won't be taking too much of your time, so just sit back a little and let me show you what I've made. It all started here. Actually, that's a lie. It all started back in grade 4 with a math version of Candyland starring Sonic the Hedgehog, but that's a mandatory school project and I didn't make another board game after for the next 6 years of my life, so does it really count? No, my obsessive hobby actually began when Inscryption came out back in 2021. I watched a few YouTubers play it, thought the board game aspect was really cool, and the story was boring, like really boring. The plot didn't catch me in the slightest, with the whole haunted cartridge gimmick DMG can't seem to let go of, and it honestly devalued the whole energy of the first half of the game. Now, hold on, the game itself was still there. To sound pretentious, I saw potential. If you could make the board and the cards, you could have somebody essentially play the dungeon master of your campaign while the other was the adventurer, just like you see in the game. It would make it kind of a perfect two-person D&D type experience. I drew up the rules and used this magical machine called a laser cutter to make the board, and drew up all of these cards by hand! I've learned my lesson now, but no, I probably haven't, as we'll soon see. Anyway, I spent about a week putting it all together, played one campaign, and never touched it again. The final product was not nearly as fun for me as the process of making it was, and I see how much love and effort Daniel Mullins put into the original Inscryption to make it work. People also had made better copies elsewhere. But still, the idea of making board games stuck with me, and I would come back with a similar idea a little later. Now this is a game. The same predicament happened to me again, but this time it was with Cult of the Lamb's Knucklebones. It's honestly what I came back to the most in the game, shows what kind of gamer I am, but otherwise, I really wanted to play this game with friends. And I had the tools to make it. I was in a class that gave me access to the aforementioned laser cutter, and this machine is beautiful. It isn't hard to use and basically gives you full access to woodworking and other bits. And there's laser engraving, which I would definitely use much later. I designed the entire game to fit into a self-contained box, and here we are. If you don't know how to play Knucklebones, the rules basically go like this. You and another player take turns rolling dice, 9 each. The board is split in half down the center into two 3x3 grids. Those grids are then split into 3 columns. You roll a die and place it in one of the columns closest to the center. Then your opponent does the same. If you have more than one of the same dice in a column, their point value is multiplied by the number of matching dice in the column. Say 2 4s is 8 times 2, making it 16. But if your opponent places a matching dice in the column across from yours, they are removed from the board. Once one side is full, the game is complete and whoever has the most points wins. It's not that complicated when you actually play it, I promise. If you ever want to give it a shot, you can actually just play with a pencil, paper, and 18 dice. That's maybe a lot of dice, but you can get those little boxes of 36 at most game places, so I don't think it's too much of an ask. I made myself this little pocket box for it, which is nice, but it's not required in the slightest. It does have a cute little drawer that smiles at you, though, so... And for a while, I thought this was my magnum opus. Hell, some people still ask if it's on me to play a game or two. It's not mine, though. I've made 2 board games at this point, but neither were really mine, just adaptations. Until now! This here is my personal 100% original creation, YSMK, an acronym for You Stole My Kill, a game that immortalizes the age-old feeling of being a part of a team, but hating every last one of them. The main idea of the game is that up to 4 adventurers have to fight together to clear a dungeon. If any of them die, the game is over and you all lose, but only one player can truly win. You see, as you play, you'll be fighting bosses and minions. The boss has this little timer above them that counts down to when they attack, and the minions add buffs to the boss or debuffs to the players, depending on what this little diamond under them says. The heart on the left is their health, but more importantly is this little circle on the right. That's the XP or gold you get when you kill it. Of course, bosses give more XP, but that comes with more health. The trick is whoever deals the final blow gets the XP, no matter what happened to the monster prior. You could have spent the last hour stabbing this dragon with knives, but I can easily swipe in and steal all the glory last second. Whoever has the most XP after 3 bosses are downed wins. Then there are 20 different cards our players get to use to defeat enemies and betray friends. The magic and weapons cards do damage with a few gimmicks, the support and mischief cards either help or betray your friends, and the tool cards are the tool cards. Each player always has 5 cards in their hands. Once you play a card, draw a new one. All of these bits and pieces come together to make a game that I'm very proud of. It took about a month to design the base game, and I've been tweaking little bits of it once in a while since. If you're going to retain anything from this video, make it YSMK. It is one of my proudest creations, and I've only really shared half of the development or even gameplay. I'll definitely share more if this video does well enough, or I get bored, which is what usually happens. I made YSMK almost a year ago now, so why didn't I share it? Well, I was going to, but then I got a little distracted. This is the only board game I haven't named. It is also the only board game I have put development time into and not finished. Now, it's not the only board game I haven't finished. There are a few titles that I started thinking about but never truly went anywhere with. At least, not yet. But it's one I got close to finishing, but just didn't. Something about playtesting and balancing just defeated me while making it. But what's cool about it? The game plays a lot like Dead by Daylight, except now it's a board game. We're not gonna look at that. 4 survivors would compete against one monster that would consistently pursue them. They'd have to scour drawers around a mansion to look for tributes and place them in the 3 altars around the map. Once all 3 altars are fitted with the tributes, the front door would unlock and all survivors would have to rush to escape without becoming a mindless zombie in the mansion. If any of them got caught, they would be placed in a chamber where a friend would have to save them, and if they don't, they become a zombie working for the monster. I mostly made this game because I always wanted to design my own Spencer mansion, and it kinda shows with some of the little details and survivor-only pathways. I designed a bookshelf which would move whenever somebody rolled doubles, and little cracks or ladders to include artificial depth. I really liked the mansion, but it was kind of my only motivation for the game, so once it was done, I didn't feel much after. I took pictures of some friends in their Halloween costumes and cut them into player pieces, and I didn't make one of them look like a clan member by accident. I'd never do that. But once I was done that, I just didn't feel much for the project after. That, and I directly tied it to a relationship that made me feel worse and worse each day around then, so motivation for it plummeted very quickly. Maybe I'd go back and finish it someday, but for now it rests on the shelf as my only incomplete board game. Making a box for it to fit all these pieces would be hell though, so it's probably not going to be finished ever. Well, that bummed me out. That was kind of the end for me last year. The project did kind of lead into late November, so it'd be crazy if I made another board game in that short of time, but I was very unmotivated by the end of the year. It was a quiet New Year's for me. But that's no fun, so I hopped right back into it come January. And we're going to wrap this up with a game I've already showcased, Buckshot Roulette, the card game. Again, this isn't a game I made myself, but once again, it was an interesting video game I wanted to play with my friends. I made this one differently from my other games though. I spent more time translating the gameplay from video game to board game, and decided to write and edit a short for it first. It takes a long time cutting out each card one by one for these projects, so I wanted to see if it would be liked by other people first. And it was. The short did very well, and I want to thank all the people who found this channel through that short, and all the people who've stuck with me through my shoddy upload schedule thus far. If you want to know how to play this one, the video will be in the description or a card somewhere in the video, but I mostly just want to thank everyone for sticking around. I haven't even done anything great yet. I'm just happy there's a few hundred people who see this little channel with its few views and bother to stick around and support my hobbies. Anyway, this game you have to play with the right people. A lot of the main game is tension, which is cleverly put together through sound and visuals, but all of that is gone when it's a card game. So you need to find people who take winning really seriously, or play for money. First one is